I think what we've mastered is searching for a feeling.
Yeah.
Versus a sound, versus a drum, versus anything. It's always the feeling first. And when we know that's what we're trying to reach, now I can pull references all day. We can pull references of, man, that shit was hot, or you want something dark. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can pull that, but it's always for the feeling and how to turn it futuristically upside down on its head.
In this clip, the Clipse reminds us that at its core, writing great rap songs is not about following any instrumental choice or random set of rhymes. Without a doubt, creating iconic music isn't so superficial, and the true legends of the game know that creating timeless art is grounded in much deeper principles. Therefore, today, we'll follow along as the Clipse, fresh off the heels of another fire project, show us step by step how to make a classic album, and that brings us on to step one: don't chase trends.
It's always just been present day, real life, real times, things that we are going through currently, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what makes it easy, because we never chase trends or chase what's going on. It's just who we are.
In this clip, we hear Malice breaking down the mindset that built the Clipse's legendary status, staying rooted in their reality instead of chasing whatever sounds hot at the moment. When Grindin dropped in 2002, it committed the ultimate sin according to music industry logic. While Timbaland was dominating with orchestral arrangements and the Neptunes were crafting glossy club anthems for Nelly and Missy Elliott, Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo handed the Clipse something that sounded like it was recorded in a concrete bunker: skeletal drum patterns, woodblock cracks, abrasive minimalism that made A&Rs nervous. The Smart Money said this approach would kill their careers before they started. Radio was feasting on lush, accessible production. Jay-Z was riding symphonic beats to massive success. Every indicator pointed toward making music that sounded expensive and polished. But the Clipse understood something that separates lasting artists from forgotten ones. Authenticity can't be manufactured, and when it's real, it cuts through any trend. Their content matched their sonic rebellion. Instead of the era's dominant bling narratives about champagne celebrations and candy paint Bentleys, Pusha T and Malice delivered forensic details about Norfolk, Virginia street corners. They weren't fantasizing about a lifestyle. They were documenting one. Lines about Pyrex pots and daily threats came with the specificity that only lived experience provides. This granular honesty made Grindin fascinating to listeners who'd never seen that world, incredible to those who had. While contemporaries exaggerated for mass appeal, the Clipse built their reputation on precision. No embellishment, no sanitized versions of street life, just the actual mechanics of their environment translated into bars. Lord Willin' proved their approach could sustain an entire album. Tracks like When the Last Time in Virginia used infectious hooks to smuggle deeper narratives about loss, poverty, and ambition into listeners' heads. They created party music that accidentally educated people about economic desperation, songs that made you move while making you think. The real test came during their 4-year legal nightmare with Jive Records. After Arista dissolved into Jive during the Sony-BMG merger, label executives constantly complained about the Clipse's one-dimensional cocaine content. They pressured the brothers to create radio-friendly material, essentially asking them to abandon the authenticity that built their fan base. Most artists cave at this pressure point. The combination of industry rejection, financial strain, and fear of irrelevance breaks down artistic integrity faster than anything else in the business. Labels have perfected the art of convincing artists that their core identity isn't commercially viable. The Clipse chose a different path. Instead of diluting their message or chasing radio trends, they got angrier. As Pusha T later explained, "We couldn't dare come out in the same mind frame as Lord Willin', so now we were mad, angry, and pissed the fuck off." That rage became creative fuel for Hell Hath No Fury, an album so uncompromising it made their debut sound commercial. While the industry moved toward ringtone rap and pop crossovers, they doubled down on stark realism. Tracks like Mr. Me Too directly attacked imitators and trend chasers, creating sonic statements that authenticity was the only real path to credibility. Your takeaway isn't that you need to rap about drug dealing. It's that you need to mine your specific experience for universal truths. The Clipse succeeded because they understood their Norfolk corner stores, broken families, and survival strategies better than anyone else could. That expertise translated into authority that listeners could feel, Every time you abandon your authentic voice to chase current sounds, you're training your audience to expect fakeness from you. Trends have expiration dates, but truth has staying power that outlasts whatever's dominating playlists this week. The Clipse proved that building a loyal fan base around your real story creates something more valuable than temporary chart success. But that loyalty only matters if you know exactly who you're building it with.
What is success going to look or feel like to you guys once this finally comes out to the world?
I think it's still catering to our fans, still just catering to the people that were waiting for us and who stuck around, who always have shown us support. We know who our audience is, who they have always been, and what works for us.
Here, Malice is explaining the counterintuitive truth that built their empire. Success comes from getting smaller before you get bigger. Hell Hath No Fury became the Clipse's masterpiece precisely because they refused to expand their audience when everyone told them to. After 4 years trapped in label purgatory, watching their momentum evaporate while executives demanded radio-friendly pivots, they made the decision that defines legendary careers. They got more specific, not less. When Arista Records dissolved into Jive Records during the 2004 Sony-BMG merger, the Clipse found themselves cultural orphans. Their new label hated everything that made them special. Jive executives viewed their cocaine-focused narratives as commercial poison, constantly pressuring them to water down their content for broader appeal. The math seemed obvious. Expand your sound, reach more listeners, make more money. Every industry voice was screaming the same message. Your core audience isn't enough to sustain a career. But the Clipse understood something that separates classic albums from forgotten ones. The people who already get it are worth more than 1,000 casual listeners who might potentially get it someday. Instead of chasing hypothetical fans, they focused entirely on the supporters who'd been waiting for their return. This decision transformed industry abandonment into artistic liberation. When Pharrell Williams produced Hell Hath No Fury entirely alone without Chad Hugo's involvement for the first time, he wasn't trying to appeal to Jive executives or radio programmers. He was creating specifically for people who understood what the Clipse represented. The production choices proved their commitment. Steel drums on Womp Womp, skeletal percussion throughout, strategic use of silence as an instrument. None of these elements were designed for mass consumption. They were crafted for listeners who appreciated experimentation and understood the Clipse's artistic vision. The album's origin story reveals how thoroughly they prioritized their audience over industry expectations. Most of those beats were originally created for Jay-Z's Kingdom Come album. Pharrell had specifically made Mama I'm So Sorry, Riding Round Shining, We Got It for Cheap, and Chinese New Year for Hove, but Jay passed on them. Think about the psychology of that decision. One of hip-hop's most commercially successful artists rejected these beats probably because they didn't fit his broader audience strategy. The Clipse recognized that Jay-Z's rejects could be their audience's treasure, but only because they knew exactly who they were making music for. This specificity created something more valuable than temporary chart success. While other rappers were making generic music hoping to appeal to everyone, the Clipse was making laser-focused music that spoke directly to their people. The result wasn't commercial limitation. It was cultural impact that lasted decades. Their audience strategy worked because it was built on genuine connection rather than market research. They weren't trying to manufacture appeal. They were deepening existing relationships. The fans who stuck around through 4 years of industry politics didn't just buy Hell Hath No Fury. They championed it as one of the greatest albums ever made. Your audience isn't everyone who might potentially listen to rap music. Your audience is the specific group of people whose problems you understand, whose experiences you share, whose worldview aligns with your message. The Clipse knew they were making music for people who understood Norfolk Street corner economics, family dynamics, and the specific pressures of their environment. That targeting became their superpower. Instead of trying to convert skeptics, they served believers. Instead of explaining their perspective to outsiders, they deepened their connection with insiders. The loyalty they built sustained them through label changes, industry politics, and multi-year delays. The difference between pandering to everyone and serving someone specific is the difference between forgettable and unforgettable music. But knowing your audience means nothing if you don't have the skills to consistently deliver what they're craving.
We come from that era in mixtapes where, you try to outshine and outdo the norm or what has already been done. So, it ain't nothing but the spirit of competition. Just take somebody's track and just show them what you would have done to it.
In this clip, we hear Malice revealing the systematic approach that built their 3-decade career, treating every opportunity as advanced musical education. That mixtape mentality he describes isn't just about competition. It's about deliberate practice disguised as creative destruction. Every time the Clipse jumped on someone else's beat, they were conducting musical experiments, testing how different production styles demanded different vocal approaches, developing the versatility that would later make them irreplaceable across multiple eras of hip-hop. This educational mindset defined every phase of their career evolution. When Pusha T joined Good Music in 2010, he didn't approach it as just another record deal. He treated it as enrollment in advanced hip-hop studies with Kanye West as his primary instructor. The curriculum was intense. Working with one of the genre's most innovative producers forced Pusha to expand beyond the Clipse's established sound. He learned conceptual album construction, minimalist production philosophy, and how to balance commercial appeal with artistic integrity. By 2015, when Kanye promoted him to label president, Pusha had absorbed not just artistic techniques, but business strategy and A&R development. His graduation thesis came in 2018 with Daytona. The 7-track album, recorded entirely with Kanye West, demonstrated how thoroughly Pusha had synthesized decades of accumulated knowledge. Every element, beat selection, narrative coherence, sonic consistency, reflected lessons learned from the Neptunes, Jay-Z, and his own experimental ventures. But the most impressive part of their education was its continuity. Even after achieving legendary status, the Clipse continued studying. Their 2025 reunion album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, proves they are still pushing their knowledge forward. Produced entirely by Pharrell Williams, now working alone after his legal separation from Chad Hugo, the project shows their willingness to experiment with new creative dynamics even decades into their careers. The recording sessions revealed their evolved understanding of how environment influences creativity. They split time between Virginia Studios and Louis Vuitton's Paris headquarters, where Pharrell serves as creative director. This wasn't just luxury, it was strategic. They had learned to curate optimal conditions for artistic expression, understanding that location affects inspiration as much as technical skill. Your assignment starts immediately. Pick 3 beats from different decades and different producers. Study everything: how the drums hit, how the bass lines move, how the samples are chopped and arranged. Then write verses specifically designed to complement each production style. Don't just ride the beat. Show how you would have approached it differently than whoever originally used it. Next level, analyze 5 classic albums from different eras, not just lyrics. Study the sequencing decisions, production choices, narrative flow from track to track. Figure out why certain songs were placed where they were. Understand how artists created cohesive listening experiences rather than random collections of songs. The game evolves constantly. New production techniques emerge every year. Vocal delivery styles shift. Audience connection methods change. Artists who stay relevant are the ones who never stop learning, never stop experimenting, never stop pushing beyond their established comfort zones. The Clipse built a 3-decade career by treating every session, collaboration, and project as an opportunity for improvement. That student mentality transformed them from Norfolk street dealers into cultural icons whose influence still shapes hip-hop production and lyrical approach today. Most rappers stop learning once they find one approach that works, which is exactly why most rap careers end after one successful run. With that said, we'd love to see you in the comments. Do you believe the Clipse's latest album is a classic, or will it take some time to determine that? We look forward to hearing from you below, and thanks for joining us for another episode. Peace.